Good morning. Welcome to Hindu Newspaper Analysis, 3rd November 2022, Vijayawada edition. The first article talks about Benjamin Netanyahu coming back to the Israel power. That article is not important. However, the locations of specific areas like West Bank, Gaza, Golan Heights, Lebanon, Egypt, Syria, Mediterranean Sea, all are important. Try to locate them for our prelims point of view. Second article talks about DMK support for recalling Tamil Nadu governor. We have to understand from last few months, we are getting series of articles talking about controversial position of Tamil Nadu governor, Telangana governor, West Bengal and even recently Kerala. Even Kerala governor said he has a right to suspend the ministers also. But constitutional debates highlights B.R. Ambedkar, and I quote, Governor or President of India doesn't have any responsibilities, only functions. In Samsher Singh versus State of Punjab 1974, Supreme Court of India said that governor has to or the president has to act as per the aid and advice given by the Council of Ministers. Even they revoked B.R. Ambedkar observation, whereas in USA President has the power to remove and he can reject the advice given by the Council of Ministers or secretaries. But Indian governor or president doesn't have that power. Subhas Kashyap, in his book Constitutional Law of India, also mentioned that he can deny advice of Council of Ministers only when he lost the majority. So you have to understand that governor doesn't have power. But however, we are witnessing that governors are interfering into the governance of the state and even into the affairs of the executive. So we have to wait and watch how things will develop. Next article talks about South Central Railway organizes seminar on corruption-free India. We are well aware that corruption is one of the necessary evil in the society as per the Jawaharlal Nehru observation. Our previous president Pratibha Patil mentioned corruption is the enemy of development and of good governance. It must be got rid of both the government and the people at large. APJ Abdul Kalam in his observations said, if a country is to be corruption free and became a nation of beautiful minds, I strongly feel there are three societal members who can make a difference: the father, the mother and the teacher. To bring that level of awareness, now Government of India, particularly Central Vigilance Commission, conducting seminars on corruption-free India. We are witnessing a lot of departments conducting seminars. It is a welcome move to raise the awareness. Ancient Kakatiya era sculptures found in a state of neglect at Kalakoluru in Guntur district. One have to read about Kakatiya district because it was asked in UPSC prelims, particularly the port of Kakatiya, Motapalli. So just revise about Kakatiyas, the dynasty and their role and their important ports in their ruling. Next, Seed of Hope. This article talks about the recent introduction of mustard, GM mustard into Indian agriculture structure. We are well aware that Dhara mustard hybrid DMH11 was tested and approved by Genetic Engineering Appraisal Committee, a research wing of Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change. It was prepared by using soil bacterium self-pollinating plant hybrid, and they used Barnasi baraster as a special element in a way to resist the pest attacks or herbicide attacks. The main advantages of this project as for ICAR, it is showing high rise of production, and that in turn will decrease our oil imports. According to National Academy of Agriculture Science, India imports 55 to 60% of oil seeds. Particularly, we spent in 2021, we spent almost 117 crores on oil imports. That in turn saves our forex Further, it will also help us in meeting the global supply chain shocks. Very recently, Ukraine-Russia conflict raised inflation over oil seeds and oil imports. Further, there are some concerns about this issue, particularly environmentalists opposing this introduction of hybrid seeds because they are introduced with a foreign gene which may impact the native species. And companies also may take this situation to raise the prices of the seeds. Further, the new practices may not familiar with the farmers and they may face a lot of difficulties. However, Aadhar suggested some interesting points for us. He suggested that faster trials must be needed with state-of-art or updated technology. Aadhar suggested that we need to focus towards the CRISPR gene editing technology so that faster outputs and timely outputs can come. Further, he also stated that central government must increase the research and development over the seeds and make the seeds available with the states. As agriculture comes under the 7th schedule of Indian Constitution at the state list, let the states decide to introduce or not to promote. Further, it also suggested that government should enhance the research and development capacities, and it should also promote incentives to the private companies for more research and development of the oil seeds. So these are the important things from this article. Next article, a chance to expand the world biosphere footprint. This article talks about November 3rd will be the first International Day for Biosphere Reserves to celebrate the beginning of 2022. However, the most important thing is World Network of Biosphere Reserve, established in 1971 in a way to conserve the biodiversity, to restore the biodiversity and to make people live harmony with the nature. Biosphere reserves are well famous in South Asia. The first biosphere reserve in South Asia was recognized from Sri Lanka and its name is Hurlulu. And in India, it is in 2000, Nilagiri Biosphere Reserve was recognized as the first biosphere reserve. It expands Tamil Nadu, Kerala and Karnataka. The most important thing we have to understand that our life associated with biodiversity. Professor Vashani in one of his speeches mentioned that 50% of global economy directly or indirectly dependent on biodiversity. We are sustaining with the biodiversity itself. Our planet will have future only with the conservation of biodiversity. Further, biodiversity is well marked in culture and religious aspects. The concept of Panchabhutas in Vedas associated with biodiversity. The concept of rituals also associated with biodiversity itself. If you see the celebrations of festivals in Hinduism, we all found most of the festivals associated with the biodiversity itself. Further, biodiversity is a avenue for economy, tourism and even employment also. Our constitution lays down in Article 48A of Indian Constitution DPSPs mentions state responsibility to conserve biodiversity. Further, this kind of initiatives will enhance expertise of conservation, capacity of the people, promoting best practices with knowledge sharing, and further it may conserve the resources to meet the sustainable development goals. Unfortunately, these biosphere reserves or even conservation aspects facing some threats. To begin, climate change and human interference. Madhav Gadgil Committee, when it is observing the Western Ghats conservation, it mentioned that human activities, particularly human developmental projects like roads, building, mining, quarrying, etc., hampering the biodiversity and natural habitats. Pollution and population, rise in population, expansion of agriculture and expansion of new developments like ecotourism hampering the biodiversity a lot. Some countries doesn't have experience in tackling this. That's the reason this World Network of Biodiversity of UNESCO may help this conservation a lot. And it may share the know-how also. So this is The other side said that we need to live with nature. Conservation should be the priority of the governments along with the development of clean energy. Further, environment education is need of the hour and management of waste and promoting conservation of water is also important. It is time to rope the private sector into the biodiversity conservation as per the other suggestions. Next article talks about Uttarakhand Uniform Civil Code Committee shifts through 4 lakh suggestions, plan more outreach. As Uttarakhand facing a lot of social problems like polyandry, polygamy and traditional adoption processes, so they are facing a lot of difficulties. They formed an expert committee with the retired judge, that is Ranjana Prakash Desai, and this committee is now getting the suggestions from the people. We are well aware that Uniform Civil Code is one of the highly debatable and discussing topic in Constitutional Assembly even till today also. Article 44 of Indian Constitution in DPSP is mentioned that state shall endeavour citizens Uniform Civil Code replacing all personal laws based on customs and different religions. And it creates a common set of rules for governing every citizen in India. And we have to mention that its constitutional debates went a lot about this particular article. And here comes the most important things. Is the Goa was the one and only state which is implementing Uniform Civil Code. Apart from that, constitutional fathers like Alladi Krishna Swami Iyer mentioned that civil code is a need for the Indian society. B.R. Ambedkar even mentioned that liberty is not perfectly utilized if it is unable to reform the social issues. So there we have the background. However, there is a lot of controversial issues about the implementation of UCC. Let us wait and watch for the next developments within the Uttarakhand states and also in the national wide also. Next article talks about curious collage shows rhinos shrinking. This article explains about a recent publication in Nature Journal talking about rhinos are in threats because of excessive poaching and habitat loss. Next, Gandhian Seva founder Elben Bhatt recently died, and it is very important organization. Seva has very significant presence in Indian NGO with respect to women. It was formed in 1972 in Ahmedabad, and today it is having 2.1 million strong women, and this is the single largest women central trade union in India. They will help the poor women in holistic development and promoting employment security and also food security and social security. It promotes self-reliance of women in child care and household management. The single point agenda is to promote economic freedom of women. Unfortunately, the founder Elben Bhatt recently died, and this is one of the important NGO comes under GS2 of Indian governance. Next article, Pahari community added ST list of Jammu and Kashmir. We are well aware that scheduled tribes comes under Article 366 of Section 25. 366 clause 25 mentioned that definition of a tribe or a group as deemed under Article 342, which mentions President of India in consultations with Governor of the state will notify a tribal group, and Parliament has the power to include or exclude the tribal list. It is well noted that as per 2011 census, we have 104 million tribal population, which arounds 8.6 of Indian population itself. So that's all for the news. Have a nice day. Thank you and Jai Hind.